Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for this opportunity to share tonight. I'm Cleo Scott Brown, Roland, because I recently got married, but in my old age. but I am the owner of History Matters Institute, and I speak and write on two primary topics: race and voting. And all of my speaking and writing has the same goal: to bring understanding, to cause introspection, which leads to change. And so I have two books. One is called Raceology 101, and the other one is take that off, Witness to the Truth. And both of them are award-winning books. And so I am going to read a piece from Raceology, but just a little of my background before I read it. I am the daughter of a civil rights activist. My father was involved in a federal voting rights case that put us under oppression, terrorism, for about 4 years of my life. When I was 6, I was in the car with my dad when he was shot for trying to get the right to vote after he had come back from federal court that day, actually. And from 6 till 11, it was pure terrorism. Then in the 8th grade, I got to integrate a school, which was worse than being in the car with Daddy when he got shot, because of just what it did to my spirit. And then, of course, I got to go to Grambling and get healed at an all-Black college, the best place for healing. And then I got to go help integrate General Motors. So I call myself the just-in-time girl. I get just in time to get the Black Power movement at Grambling, just in time for a whole lot of things to experience firsthand. So the piece I'm going to read, I'm an essayist also, and it's called OMG, the last Jim Crow generation is in charge. Senators Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, Congressman Joe Uli Wilson, and others in their 60s and 70s. We are members of the last Jim Crow generation, the last generation of children to grow up under a legal system that required every non-African American to discriminate against every African American because it was the law. It had taken just one Supreme Court decision way back in 1896 to lead us to decades and decades of legalized mistreatment. This one ruling to legalize the separation of the recently freed Black people from every other group in public facilities and transportation taught another generation to embrace the concept of our lessness. And it was a green light for many discriminatory laws and lynchings that followed in both the North and the South. I remember asking a younger supervisor if he had ever wondered as a child about the Black people who worked in the fields for his parents. Had he wondered why they worked there instead of having their own farm, or why all the children went to school together except Black children? I asked him if his parents ever talked to him about laws that legislated exclusions for Black people, laws that cut us off from access to things important for economic stability, or access to power to influence the outcome of our own destiny. Unfortunately, he had not wondered, and therein lies the problem, as truth requires some digging when history is intentionally hidden. As a member of the last Jim Crow generation who gets to talk about race more than most, a question repeatedly comes to mind. How can you be taught really bad things about another race as a child and see and or participate in great injustices as a child and it not have a negative impact on your future actions unless you first acknowledge and confront what you have been taught and actively work to change your automatic response system. After all, we were raised on extreme division. We are the children whose relatives were lynched or shot or run out of town. But we are also the children whose parents did the lynchings and the shootings. We are the children attacked while integrating the schools. And we are also the children who did the attacking. We are the children whose parents' livelihood and reputation were destroyed via the media just because they wanted to vote or eat or use restrooms. And we are also the children whose parents wrote and spoke to move the masses to hate for their personal agendas. We are the teens who thought it was great fun to expose themselves to Black girls from the backs of pickup trucks. And we are also the girls who suffered great humiliation and disrespect, as did our mothers and our mothers' mothers. We are the children whose parents could not vote. And we are also the children who, as adults, applied their parents' tactics to gutting the Voting Rights Act in 2013. We are the children who feared the fiery cross. And we are also the children who stood hand in hand around the cross. We are the children who may have never gone to school with anyone of the opposite race. Yet we were thrust together as adults under some unwritten agreement that we never speak of the horrific evil that formed our childhoods. We work side by side, and we and those we mentor, teach and supervise and make employment decisions. We are police chiefs, jurors, and judges. We set policies and political agendas. We are of the age to be in charge, to set direction for others. But for many, our childhood Jim Crow foundation still frames our worldview because we fail to challenge or even acknowledge what Jim Crow taught all of us and what has become a part of our automatic response system. So yes, I wanted my supervisor to wonder about the Black people on his dad's farm. Later, when I was talking to an insurance consultant about integrated schools, I wanted him to be curious. I learned later he went and discussed it with his father and discovered that his dad had helped fund the private schools so that he wouldn't have to go to school with Black people. He later sent copies of my book to all the private schools in Charlotte with a letter to why their students should read it because of how their schools were started. When someone talked about his great affection for the Black maid who helped raise him, and I asked him how he thought she felt leaving her children unattended to take care of him or being called by her first name, yes, I wanted him to be curious because never once had he considered life from the maid's point of view, only the value to himself. A month later, he was still processing our discussion, even having discussed it with his siblings. So I spend my days hoping to make someone curious because curiosity is the foundation of the pursuit of knowledge. Curiosity is that spark that will make you stop right now and grab your phone or computer and dig a little deeper on the current impact of Jim Crow. We all have a moral obligation to seek truthfulness, especially when it comes to understanding hidden history, because we have to know better before we can do better. Who will you make curious this week? We cannot solve what we are unwilling to acknowledge or confront. Thank you.